Hey guys, and welcome to the video. We're going to be discussing a rumour that suggests James Gunn could be using the BATMITE character to explain the DCU reboot. So let's dive into this DC news. But before we get started, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and stay up to date with all the movie news going on around here, guys. So we're going to take a look at this article here from comicbook.news. James Gunn using goofy BATMITE to explain DCEU reboot. Rumours offer a little imp version of the Dark Knight will help to usher in Gunn's DCU. Yeah, guys, so this is a character that not a lot of the mainstream audience would probably know. His name is BATMITE. He's like a small imp character. And from what I remember, he's like an interdimensional imp who can jump between sort of like realities or multiverses. And it looks like James Gunn could be using him to explain the reboot. It's just a rumor at this point, guys. So let's just bear that in mind. But let's jump into the article and see what it has to say. So, I feel bad for the DC fans, as James Gunn just can't let go of goofy garbage. Dance off, bro. Yeah, the BATMITE character is very, very goofy. And I would be, as a DC fan, I'd be very, very surprised to see BATMITE popping up at the start of the DCEU reboot. Because, as I say, not a lot of mainstream audiences would know him, and it would seem a bit confusing for an interdimensional imp to be popping in and out. Yeah. So following Gunn replying yes and yes to a fan asking James Gunn on Threads if Season 2 of Peacemaker will take place in the new DCU, new continuity, or it will be addressed, a rumour offers BATMITE will explain things in the series. So we have an exchange here on Threads. Dural.Randall, will Season 2 of Peacemaker take place in the new DCU or new continuity, or will it at least be addressed? And then James Gunn replies yes and yes. So, Season 2 of Peacemaker is going to address the new continuity and the new DCU reboot in Season 2. But how are they going to go from Season 1, which was basically in the DCEU? I mean, we had cameos from the Justice League, Zack Snyder's Justice League. And then Season 2 is going to be in a completely different continuity and in the DC reboot. So, the transition from Season 1 to Season 2, how is that going to work? BATMITE could be the explanation, but we're still not sure at this point. So the rumour comes via Casey Walsh on Twitter. He responded to screenshots of Gunn's comments with a gif of BATMITE. Yeah, so this is BATMITE here. It looks like they're playing the Wii, which is quite funny. I can't click on it, unfortunately. Oh, there we go. It's literally a half-a-second gif like that, guys, of them just playing the Wii, which is quite funny. Yeah, he's a super goofy, comedic type of character, and he just looks ridiculous. He just hovers around. He looks like a goofy version of Batman, like a miniature version. And he's got like a weird, annoying voice as well. And yeah, just kind of crazy, goofy character. You can see the screenshots here that they took as well. So fans then picked up on it and put it together that James Gunn is probably going to have to use some sort of goofy scene in Peacemaker Season 2, where BATMITE breaks the fourth wall and explains to the audience how Gunn's DCU works with the old DCEU. I could say what you want about, you know, BATMITE popping up, like I was saying, guys, but to be honest, Peacemaker set the tone for being quite goofy. Now that I think about it, I haven't seen that since it first came out, but they have such a goofy tone in Peacemaker that you could see BATMITE actually popping up and kind of resetting the universe that way. I think it does blend in with the tone of the first Peacemaker season, now that I think about it. So, Real Shift, why does it always have to be these obscure, quirky characters with this guy? I don't get it. And then we've got like quite a horrifying, realistic version of BATMITE here. That looks pretty damn scary. It's like a miniature goblin thing here. Imagine seeing that popping up in your room at night, man. That would scare the crap out of me. So BATMITE will reportedly debut in Peacemaker Season 2, where he will be the one to explain the old DCEU and the new DCU. And yeah, see, look at his face here. Just like a little imp-looking guy. I prefer this design here over this one, definitely. This one here just looks like nightmare fuel, this one. Don't use that one. It'll give me nightmares if I go and watch that. But this one here looks quite funny and, you know, dim-witted, if you like. So, recall how Peacemaker Season 1 features reference to the DCEU, and even Zack Snyder's Justice League with Ezra Miller as The Flash and Jason Momoa as Aquaman. Yeah, so obviously, I think it was in the season finale, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. Oh yeah, it says here, Season 1, Episode 8, sorry. And there's that cameo scene in Peacemaker Season 1, which shows Zack Snyder's Justice League popping up. Superman and Wonder Woman are there, but they're just filled in actors. They don't actually have any dialogue, whereas Jason Momoa and Ezra Miller as the Flash and Aquaman, they actually have scenes of dialogue between each other. So yeah, firmly puts Peacemaker Season 1 in the DCEU. There's no escaping that. So making the transition over to the new DC universe for Season 2. It's definitely going to be interesting, no matter what route they go, to try and explain it and try to use a sort of MacGuffin to get there. It will definitely be an interesting few years for DC fans, that's for sure. And then we've got a little comic panel here from BATMITE, and he's singing the na 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 BATMITE. Look at this guy, man. He's just so goofy. Kicking some dude in the face who's got a rocket launcher. And just seeing this on screen would just be so bizarre. I'd be sat there be like, what am I watching? Like, what is this? But yeah, it depends. If they do it really, really well, I mean, it could work. But if the CGI is bad and it looks really super goofy, I think it will lose a lot of people. Because a lot of people have come to expect kind of a more serious tone from DC. So I think James Gunn's DC being goofy and more lighthearted will be a bit of a shock to the system for a lot of DC fans. So James Gunn is a big fan of BATMITE. Gunn has mentioned BATMITE before when he took part in the Warner Bros. Discovery Town Hall meeting, where Gunn said he has a strong liking for BATMITE. And then you can read that article from Deadline. Gunn also mentions BATMITE in regards to his Suicide Squad movie when asked about using the character in a sequel. Quote, "If I said I was unable to use BATMITE, which I don't quite remember, it was only because I didn't think he'd fit on the team, so it would be because of my story, not a DC mandate. Honestly though, I never seriously considered BATMITE. He's too powerful for one," he said in a tweet. I mean, how would you put BATMITE into his Suicide Squad movie? I don't even understand how that would work. He's a BATMITE who, from what I remember, he jumps between realities, like I was saying, and he has like the ability to, you know, go to multiverses and stuff. And yeah, I mean, what would he do? Would he grab one of the villains and then kind of transport them to a different dimension and then kind of zap back into the dimension that he was in before? I mean, I don't, yeah. It would have been so goofy seeing him. But then again, I suppose we had a man-eating shark in the Suicide Squad and a guy who had a polka dot superpower, so, and a giant starfish that they fought against. So I guess it would work within the goofiness of that movie. Yeah. It's all coming back to me now, just that Suicide Squad and how goofy it was. Gunn also included mention of BATMITE in the first episode of Peacemaker, where Steve Agee's economist mentioned names of those who would rather work with than John Cena's Chris Smith, and said he would rather be with effing BATMITE. And then we've got the little scene here, but I can't play it for copyright reasons, guys, unfortunately. Sorry about that. But yeah, so BATMITE is canon to Peacemaker Season 1 because he obviously exists within the universe. I mean, Economist, which is one of the... he's the guy who did all the computer stuff for Peacemaker Season 1. Obviously, if he's mentioning BATMITE by name, he obviously exists within the continuity of Peacemaker Season 1, and he's obviously known to the team, so he does exist within the universe. It's okay to be confused. Is it, though? Is it really? Gunn also recently touched upon how everything will work out, but there was no mention of BATMITE at the time. Quote, "Nothing is canon until Creature Commandos next year. A sort of a party to the DCU, and a deeper dive into the universe with Superman Legacy after that. It's a very human drive to want to understand everything all the time, but I think it's okay to be confused on what's happening in the DCU, since no one has seen anything from the DCU yet." Yeah, guys, I know this is kind of going back over some of... I did do a Peacemaker Season 2 kind of video that kind of goes over some of these quotes. So we might be recapping some stuff from other videos, but this is just kind of going back over it for those of you who may not have seen the other video and may not be caught up to date. So just bear that in mind, guys. And Gunn added, and yes, some actors will be playing characters they played in other stories, and some plot points may be consistent with plot points from dozens of films, shows, and animated projects that have come from DC in the past, but nothing is canon until Creature Commandos and Superman Legacy. Yeah, so bear that in mind. Even though we've got like Zolo Marijuana who's playing Blue Beetle, Blue Beetle is a DCU character, but his film is not canon. Anything that happened in his film is not part of the DCU reboot. Even though the character will be in the DCU, and that's my phone going off. I do apologize. Unprofessional. So yeah, Blue Beetle will be in the DCU, but his film isn't canon, but the character is, to make it more confusing. But nothing is canon until Creature Commandos and Legacy, yeah. And then we've got BATMITE here, just kind of hovering over a fight between Batman and Joker, which is kind of funny. Yeah, I mean, I really don't know. I don't know if he'd be a good character to see on screen or not, or if he would just be too goofy, like too inside baseball for for the mainstream audience. Guys, jump into the comment section. Let me know what you think about BATMITE. I'd be curious to see what you guys think about this anyway. So, who is actually BATMITE? So, for those of you who have been watching this video up to this point and probably thinking, who the hell is this guy? Like, who is BATMITE? What does he do? Well, here we go, guys. So, here's an explanation. So, BATMITE is an imp similar to Superman, villain Mr. Mxyzptlk. Depicted as a small, childlike man in an ill-fitting copy of Batman's costume, BATMITE possesses what appears to be near infinite magical powers. But he actually uses highly advanced technology from the 5th dimension that cannot be understood by humans, limited 3-dimensional views. Unlike Mxyzptlk, BATMITE idolizes his superhero target, and thus he has visited Batman on various occasions, often setting up strange and ridiculous events so that he could see his hero in action. BATMITE is more of a nuisance than a supervillain, and often departs of his own accord upon realizing that he has angered his idol. So, from what this is saying, it looks like he on purposely antagonizes Batman to have fights, and he just wants to watch, and he kind of idolizes Batman. Yeah, and like I said, he comes from a different dimension, and he's just such a quirky, strange character, and he's just super goofy. So, will James Gunn's DCU be goofy? It is certainly seeming that way on the surface when you think about it. I mean, you got Creature Commandos. I mean, how would you make a Creature Commandos, even though it's animated, the wide-ranging kind of different characters that they have, how would it not be goofy? I mean, if you look at his Suicide Squad reboot, I mean, you had the Weasel character in there. That Weasel character was about as goofy as it comes. As I said before, you've got the Polka Dot Man, you've got King Shark. I mean, how do you get more goofy than a human-sized shark who eats people? But anyway, back to the article. I'm getting sidetracked. So, James Gunn recently took over DC Universe, along with Aquaman and Shazam producer Peter Safran, where it's obvious that Gunn's style is a lot different than Zack Snyder's approach to the DC characters, which is rather serious. Yeah, like I was saying, the tone shift is going to be completely different, guys, so, prepare yourselves for a different tone when DC comes to the reboot. Gunn is known for his offbeat, quirky, even vulgar humour. James Gunn took a vastly different approach to Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy than the comics, which worked for the MCU, as MCU fans weren't familiar with the Guardians. Yeah, most Marvel fans probably haven't picked up a Guardians comic in their life, and even if you have, you've got, a lot of people understand that comic books and comic book movies, while they share the same characters and the same plot points, they're very, very different mediums. When you transfer a comic book to a live-action movie, there's certain things that you have to trade off in order for it to work. You can't just adapt a comic book one-for-one to a movie because it just wouldn't work. It wouldn't translate properly. So, however, the DC fans are used to seriousness and grounded approach from Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight movies, Snyder's Man of Steel, Batman v Superman and Justice League, and even Todd Phillips' Joker and Matt Reeves' The Batman. Yeah, they were all super serious movies. There was no humor in any of these movies. So the casual DC fan has got used to the super serious tone of DC. And if you went to the super goofy route, like I said before, it'd be a massive shock to the system. We can guess that Gunn might be trying to bring the MCU audience, which expects all the goofiness. But worth a mention is goofy MCU has been on a big downturn as of late. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you look at what they did with Thor: Love and Thunder. They went way too far into the goofiness of the movie, and it just lost people. People didn't enjoy the movie as much. And yeah, I mean, there's a fine line between making a great movie and, making it humorous. Like Thor Ragnarok, that had a perfect kind of balance between humor and a serious tone. And that kind of worked perfectly. But then Love and Thunder just went way too far into the humor, and it just lost people. Also worth mentioning is DC films that have taken a Marvel humor approach have failed for the most part. Humor is a very difficult thing because humor is very subjective to people. A lot of people find certain things funny, other people don't find it funny. To try and land jokes that appeal to everybody is a very, very hard thing to do. So, yeah, they've got their work cut out for them if they're going down the kind of goofy route. While James Gunn already described his Superman as a big galoot, the good news is that Gunn did say Superman Legacy isn't a comedy, so there's that. Gunn also recently confirmed that he is now writing Peacemaker Season 2, and that John Cena, Amanda Waller, and Zolo Marijuana will be part of the new DCU, which has led to all the confusion, rumours, and speculation. Yeah, so that's the three confirmed people coming over to the DCU reboot, guys. So we've got John Cena as Peacemaker, Viola Davis as Amanda Waller, and we've got, I forget the actor's name, but we've got Zolo Marijuana as Blue Beetle. So that's the three confirmed characters that we have at the moment. Anybody that says any other characters confirmed, then that's BS, because it's only these three at the moment. And you know, there's still tons and tons of questions around which other characters are coming across. You know, is Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman coming across? Is Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn coming across to the new DC reboot? None of these have been addressed, so we really don't know at the moment. But only time will tell. James Gunn will surely clear it up at some point. Just bear in mind, guys, we've got a long time before the Creature Commandos project comes out, so there's a lot of time for James Gunn and his crew to kind of clear up any of this confusion, to explain it clearly to us, so that we have, you know, a better understanding of what's going on with the DC reboot. But yeah, guys, so that's where we are. Is BATMITE going to be used to explain the DCEU reboot? Who knows? It's just a rumor at this point. It could be used. But jump into the comment section. Let me know what you think about this method of using BATMITE to reset the DCU. Do you think it's a dumb decision? Do you think it would be a funny, goofy way to introduce the new DC universe? I'd love to know what your thoughts are, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you soon.